say good afternoon. Good afternoon, Shottery! It's a good way to start. Hands up if you're feeling excited about being in church today. There was almost a Mexican wave there. A Mexican wave, one person, but still pretty good. Ole!
No, it's the preaching turn, not
okay. I've got a story to tell you to start off of a time before I was saved. I know it's hard for you to look at me now and imagine a time when I was not saved. I'm still waiting for sanctification, but salvation is it. I remember talking to the pastor at the church where I first met Christ. It was up in Lincoln. I was at university, and I was doing an Alpha course, and the pastor was doing a stint at the Alpha course to sort of get to know the newbies. And I wasn't quite a Christian yet. I didn't really know the Bible, however much I like to kid myself that I did. And I commented that the modern songs, you know, they were a bit vapid. A bit vapid, lacking in scriptural content. And so the following Sunday, he preceded the worship service by standing before this church of 500 or 600 people, and he read Psalm 150, culminating in, "Let everything that has breath praise the Lord." I was humbled, and I resolved to know a bit more before my next criticism of a clergyman. Worship is such an important part of our Christian life. I actually believe that God's primary purpose in creating humanity at all was that we worship Him. It's good for us to worship Him because we tend to emulate those things that we admire. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah. And therefore, if we admire and worship and focus on God, we tend to emulate Him. One song which I really enjoy singing and enjoyed singing today as an act of worship is Indescribable. It has loads of biblical quotes in it which tie up to the created world that we see around us. And I'd like to use that song today as a framework for the sermon. And perhaps to give you a little bit more insight as to why we sing it. So, let's start from the top of the song, to use a musical term, and take it line by line. There's the song. We're starting off with "From the highest of heights to the depths of the sea." This is a common device in Psalms and Hebrew poetry to mean everything between these two extremes. A good example is Psalm 95:4. "In His hand are the depths of the earth, and the mountain peaks belong to Him." Meaning everything between those 2 points, everything on earth belongs to Him. Can anyone think of any other examples of this?
His thoughts are higher than our thoughts.
His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. Sort of.
And salvation, east and west.
As far as the east is from the west, so far has He removed our transgressions from us. Man, that's a good. That gets me very excited. That one. That's very exciting. Well, that's in Isaiah, isn't it? Yeah. Which was written about 600 years before Christ. So the doctrine of salvation as we know it now wasn't. That's exciting.
Beforehand.
I've gone off script. Stop doing that to me. The one I was thinking of. The one I was thinking of was Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Everything, in other words. Everything. Okay, moving on. Creation's revealing your majesty. Once again from Psalms. This time Psalms 19. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands. Slightly technical, but not very. The cosmological argument. The cosmological argument for God's existence can be summarised by the statement: everything that has a beginning has a cause. Are you with me so far? The universe had a beginning. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
Okay, otherwise we're Hindus. Therefore, the universe had a cause. Is that a fair assumption? Yes? Okay. This cause must have been eternal because it existed before time and matter. It had to be intelligent due to the incredible signs of design that we see everywhere.
Yes.
And it had to be personal, since an intelligent creator must, by definition, be a person. Is this all working together?
Yeah.
I'm speaking to a room full of people who already believe in God. So this is not a huge leap. But if you ever need to talk to somebody who doesn't, knowing this formulation will really help, I think. If you follow this train of thought, you will inevitably come up with God. There's no escaping it. Now, science is a wonderful discipline which opens God's toolbox for us and shows us how things happened. Obviously, it can't answer the why question, but how things happened. Such as the Big Bang. This is the theory within which time, energy and matter expanded from a singularity, just as is described in Job, Isaiah, Psalms, Jeremiah and Zechariah. I also like the laws of thermodynamics, such as the one described in Romans 8 and discovered by scientists many centuries later. Science is brilliant at opening God's toolbox.
Amen.
But it was all there before.
Praise God, yeah.
Next line. From the colours of autumn to the fragrance of spring. We'll have no Americanisms here. Even if that's the way it was written. I would like you please to take good note of
Very, very clever.
the gradation here of colours. My wife spent a long time in doing this. In fact, she would have spent about 10 minutes had I not been interfering. I kept saying, try that colour, no, try that colour. Essentially, I should have just let her get on with it because she's very good at stuff like that. Okay. For this line, I'd like to point us to Genesis 8:22. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. We know from both experience and scripture in agreement that God has set a regular routine of seasons. Now this could be expanded into a whole sermon point about how we also have set seasons in our life. But I'll leave that to Alan.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. And I'll move on to the next line, which is, every creature unique in the song that it sings. I like this next slide. Oh.
Painted that one.
Nice.
Yeah, I like the parrots. What's that? What's that picture? A picture of?
Gino.
Again?
Gino.
No.
It's
D.
DNA.
DNA.
Almost.
And that's Robin Baker's head. Well, there's a reason for that. I'm going to draw the scripture here from Matthew 10:30. But even the hairs of your head are all numbered.
Hasn't seen this.
In the case of Robin Baker, both of them.
Has he seen this?
He gave me permission to say it. I love the intricate individuality of fingerprints. In fact, let's just quickly go back a few slides to... He's got the whole world in his hands. You can just see the fingerprints there. It's a really good picture. I love the intricate nature of fingerprints. But science has uncovered a much stronger illustration of this point of individuality. DNA is a code that is reproduced. I'm not an expert, so if anyone wants to correct me on this, please feel free. It's a code that is reproduced in every cell of every living thing. It consists of molecules acting as a kind of genetic language. Everyone with me so far?
Yeah.
Do you agree with what I've said? Because I'm not, like I said, I'm not an expert here.
Yes.
Okay, good.
So far.
Has anyone ever experienced language coming from random chance? No, it always comes from a mind, doesn't it? In my experience, every language and code must come from an intelligent programmer. The intricacy of DNA as almost like a computer program is incredible. Look into it at home if you are that way inclined. But to imagine that coming from anything but an intelligent programmer, it stretches faith to breaking point. Because of this, we can regard each person with the respect they deserve as an individual made in the image of God and prized as unique and beloved in his sight.
Hallelujah.
All exclaiming. And here we can return to Psalm 150. Everything that has breath, praising God.
Hallelujah.
Jesus actually took this one step further, didn't he? And claimed that even the inanimate parts of creation, the stones themselves,
Yes.
would cry out, would praise God if the people didn't.
Yeah.
All exclaiming. What are they exclaiming?
The Lord.
Indescribable.
Or
Uncontainable. I hope that many of you have proven in your life that God is utterly uncontainable.
come on, God, get in there.
Every time you think you've got him figured out and pigeonholed, he'll do something you really weren't expecting.
Absolutely
That's right.
I love to study theology, but I'm aware that every time I think I've got God figured, he'll break out of that human box. Can I give you a hint? God's a person. The only person you put in a box is a corpse. God will not lie down and stay still. The study of church history shows this 1,000,000 times over. If you try and trap him in human tradition, he will show once again that he's bigger than that. It happened with Jesus, who was too big for the grave. It happened with the temple in Jerusalem, which was destroyed in 70 AD, only to be occupied today by a blasphemous idol. And it happened in Azusa Street in Wales at the beginning of the last century, when revival hit. Whatever you think about God, he's bigger. Which is another reason, of course, that we can trust him. We can put all our hopes and our fears and our doubts in God's hands. And he's big enough. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Amen.
In fact, the next line is, you place the stars in the sky. Do you know them? I'm sorry about my singing. This is a real picture, by the way. A real photograph from the NASA website. I think it'll go from NASA. If not, it's available on the NASA website. Yeah. It's known as the Hand of God. The stars were placed when and how they are by necessity. But did you know that if the universe were not arranged just as it is, life on this grain of sand in the universe would be impossible? Let me rephrase the necessity part. They weren't put there by necessity, they had to be that way, but it was necessary for them to be that way in order for life to exist on this planet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Have I clarified that?
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, there is no observed solar system that even comes close to being able to sustain life as we know it. I'm feeling a bit of Star Trek moment coming on. Our moon is bigger than most, maintaining our planet at a stable angle, in contrast to all the other moons we can see and all the other planets. The Earth has big brothers looking after us in Jupiter and Saturn, who draw all the devastating meteors away from us. How do we know that God designed the universe this way? Psalm 8:3. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place. It just makes me want to say, you are amazing, God. This, by the way, is another, let's just see, this is another photo
Oh,
of the galaxy.
Yeah.
Louis Giglio.
Louis Giglio is almost certainly referred to it, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, probably when he was talking, just after talking about laminin.
No,
It's
before.
also very exciting.
Laminin.
Before, is it? Okay, I haven't made a study of Louis Giglio, he's American. Okay. All powerful, untamable.
Yeah.
Does anyone like C.S. Lewis?
Yes.
He's pretty funky. I love C.S. Lewis, and in particular the Narnia books.
Yeah.
And I love the line by Mr. Tumnus to Lucy at the end of the Lion, the Witch and Wardrobe. After all, he's not a tame one. We can sometimes get so hung up on the image of Jesus, meek and mild, lying in a manger, that we forget that this is the same Jesus who, in Revelation, is seen coming back on a white horse with a flaming sword.
Yeah, amen.
God is our friend. But think about how awesome he is. And the wonder of that fact will have the effect of the next line. Awestruck, we fall to our knees as we humbly proclaim, you are amazing, God. Oh, sorry, this is a little bit 1960s Sunday school, isn't it? But there's something about the power of this photo. This picture. It's not actually a photo of Jesus. Canon were not making digital cameras and stuff. There's something about it that really hits me. I don't know. Now, shocking as it may seem to you, I have a fault. My wife may claim there are more than one, but the one which I will freely admit to, I really struggle with humility.
No.
When you're this pretty, it's a hard thing to do.
Am I hearing him right?
You don't say.
I'm 6'4", and I'm proud of my height. I consider those who are shorter than me to be hobbits, or possibly just to have not tried hard enough at growing. Bearing this in mind, the other day I was in the supermarket with my wife, and I saw a man who was 6'7".
Wow.
He had a beard, a big fluffy beard, which is something I am completely unable to grow. And he looked not very much unlike my late father. I stood next to him, and lo, I was humbled.
He saw you as a hobbit.
Well, he could see my bald spot, not many people can. Now, however good, however clever, however worthy, godly or beautiful we are, if we stand next to God, we will be humbled.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
As Peter says in 1 Peter 5:6, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God,
Yeah.
so that at the proper time he may exalt you. You are amazing, God.